Shalom, Yasharala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rachakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Salakia. Now, real quick, I just uploaded a video yesterday, and on that video, I wound up, directing back to my main channel, Dawada, all right? But nevertheless, after going back and checking on that channel is going to be down for, I believe, another week, all right? So just as a heads up, that channel will be down for another week. Hey, but we still here on Dawada Reloaded, GMS Tampa Bay Saints. And like I said, we'll get you to the other page. We have a lot of pages right now that are either have strikes or, down. But nevertheless, we jumping into this here article right here, which I found, certain things in this here article as telling tales of the end of Babylon, all right? Which, we'll actually start there in Habakkuk chapter 2, man. All right? This is for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. All right, though it tarry, wait for it. All right, because a lot of these things that we've been telling you has been far-fetched, man. All right, just us basically prophesying against Babylon the Great, man. Just that alone is something that's far-fetched, man. The things that we saying about Babylon, Babylon's gonna fall. All right, Babylon's gonna be taken to thermonuclear warfare. Babylon's gonna lose all of its allies. Babylon's gonna fall economically. All right, Babylon's gonna be divided internally. All right, all these different things, the morale in Babylon is going to just sink dramatically, We've been telling you these things for so long, but, especially, back in certain times, things like this was hard to see. So, people wouldn't, oh, y'all just bugging, just like if you watch the mainstream media news right now and listen to Donald Trump, he'll tell you that they'll make you believe that the economy is doing better than it's ever been. All right, which if you're looking at it on paper, yeah, it actually is on paper. But, when you're looking at these graphs of like the stock market and all that just increasing, if you just take a quick snapshot of that, then, yeah, it looked like it's doing good. But when you dig deeper, you have to understand that they're injecting money into this just to make it seem like it's better off. That's like if you got a bank account and you kind of broke, you know what I'm saying? But somebody keep putting money into your bank account over and over. Like they giving you loans at that. Somebody gave you a loan here. Another person gave you a loan there. You went to AmScot, got to pay the advance there. You went to payday advance, all these different payday advance places. And you deposited money into your bank account. So, the bank tells like, all right, you was in a negative, but now we seen you made a deposit here. Tomorrow you made another deposit. The next day you made another deposit. But in reality, if they was to dig deeper and find out that, oh, you getting this here money, all right, as a loan with interest. All right. So you didn't even have the money to begin with, at first, but you was in a negative. But now, you actually out of the negative. So on paper, you look like you're doing fine. All right, it's the same thing here with Babylon. Economically, everything looks fine because they're injecting money into this here stock market. All right, like with the repos and so on and so forth. They just keep putting more and more money into this. But like I'm saying, a lot of these things seemed a little far-fetched to believe when we were saying it at first. But now, like the scriptures say, at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it. All right, and that's where we at now. It's actually speaking out, loud and clear right now. All right, so this here article is from RT. It says, U.S. Now this guy here, Slavak Zikic, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. U.S. enters brutal ideological civil war as fourth party system begins to take form. All right, and that's not really the point I wanted to grab here. It's just, like I said, there was some eye-opener things, that's being said in this here article. All right, and really, that red all over Babylon is going to be really consumed in a nuclear fire. All right. So it says, despite Trump's impeachment victory, the U.S. is entering into an ideological civil war because the real conflict is not between Democrats and the Republicans, but within each of those parties themselves. All right. So not only do you have, a divide between the Democrats and the Republicans, you also have a divide between, inter-party. All right. And I was touching on this not too long ago in a couple of videos back. It's like, hey, man, you see, they starting to, how do I say? Like this, what the scriptures say, the Lord was going to set Egyptian against Egyptian. But you're starting to see also the curse is falling upon Esau. They're going to have that evil eye towards their brother, But nevertheless, you're starting to see that these Americans here, all right, they can't seem to agree on anything, all right? And what does the scripture say about a house divided? All right, it can't stand, all right? And so as you see America crumbling, it's because, well, we know it's according to prophecy, but as you see, as the days go along and as you keep seeing this infighting or whatever, whatnot, before they was talking about a secret government or what they call it, a deep state and so on and so forth and all these different things. All this is doing is putting a further divide between, these Babylonians here, which is weakening the foundation here, all right, readying it for a collapse, all right. It says 2 weeks ago, while promoting his new film in Mexico City, Harrison Ford said that that America has lost its morale, leadership, and credibility. And this is getting into the point where I wanted to make this here lesson off of. All right, it says, really, when did the U.S. exert moral leadership over the world? Now that's a real question. All right, because you have to understand that the people that's running America are these Edomites. All right, and these Edomites are the damn devil. All right, so they're gonna be coming around deceiving your ass. They're not gonna come out again. Whenever there's like, the devil have you do something, right? It is never shown to you in such a bad way. Like for instance, whenever you see beer commercials, cigarette commercials, things like that, you always see the people smiling, laughing, having a good time, right? You don't see the how do I say, the bad end of that. You get lung cancer, DUIs, you know what I'm saying? People die from drinking and driving and so on and so forth. You don't see those parts, or like the housing market crash. When they was giving out those loans, they didn't tell you, bro, we finna take everything from you. Nah, everything looked all nice and everything like that. But behind all the scenes, you know what I'm saying, the devil was fully at work. All right, same way here, man. But now we've been telling you who the damn devil was, but now, it's not just us saying this. All these other nations are now saying this as well too. All right, they're pointing out the fact that America, these Edomites here in America, has been nothing but liars. All right, and just really demons to the rest of the people on the face of the earth, man. All right, this is where all the hell and all the demonic shit come from, right here in America. All right, so it says, really, when did the U.S. exert moral leadership over the world? Under Reagan or Bush? They lost what they never had. All right, because when this here place was established, how was it established? First of all, they had a breakaway society that came over here, stole this land from the so-called Native Americans, all right, the Northern Kingdom, all right, then wound up killing them and genociding them off pretty much for the most part. Well, they didn't kill them all off, but, they pretty much tried to genocide them off, all right, gave them smallpox in the blankets, shot them down with the Gatling guns, got rid of their food supply, all right, then rounded them up, put them on death marches into the Trail of Tears, and then they ended up on reservations. You gave them strong drink to where they couldn't handle it. You know what I'm saying? Now they all depressed and committing suicide and so on and so forth, man. All right? So this is what you wound up doing to get this here land. So since the day that you set sail over in this here way, it wasn't for a peaceful action. It was always for, how do I say, wickedness, more or less to say, Then not only after you subjugated Gad, all right, and made them be slaves over here, all right, you went back over, to the other side of the globe and rounded up the Southern Kingdom and brought the Southern Kingdom over here for a couple hundred years of brutal slavery. Then after that, you had these other atrocities like where you was lynching, burning, and feeding us to alligators and so on and so forth. You had all these things happen as well too. So at what point in time, you know what I'm saying, like when they talk about make America great again, at what point in time was America actually great? All right, and I believe, I forgot how many years America, like the official United States, has been here. All right, because when they first started out, it wasn't the United States. You had like the 13 colonies, so on and so forth, like the Louisiana Purchase and all that. You didn't have the United States at that point in time as you know it today. But nevertheless, as you know, the United States of America today, all right, basically, since they had that point in time, I believe it was like 200 something years ago, right? Out of those 200 something years, they've been at war for basically like 200, let's just say it was 220 years, right? They were pretty much at war for, let's just say, about 212 years out of the 220 years that they were there. So it was only a small amount of time out of their whole existence as what you know of as today, the United States, as it is today, or that they were actually at peace, right, or not at war. All right, but nevertheless, the majority of the time that is America today, the United States of America today, it's been at war ever since it's been a so-called established. All right, so again, when was America so-called good? When was it a moral nation? When was it a so-called righteous nation, man? All right, not only that, they just pushing out all these lies and moving the borders and subjugating the rest of the world, man. Putting overthrowing governments around the world, man. All right, so this is America from day one, man. These are these Edomites from day one, because really the land ain't really did shit to nobody. All right, the land was perfectly fine when Gad was over here by himself, but when Esau brought his little happy ass over here, this is what happened, man. Everything turned to death and hell after he's brought his little red ass over here. All right. So it says again, really, let me go up a little bit. 2 weeks ago, while promoting his new film in Mexico City, Harrison Ford said America has lost its moral leadership and credibility. Really? When did the U.S. exert moral leadership over the world? Under Reagan or Bush? They lost what they never had, i.e., they lost the illusion, all right, the credibility made in Harrison's claim that they had, all right? They lost the illusion of the credibility that they had, the illusion that these people were so moral, these people were so righteous, these people were so God-sent, these people were so angelic and so righteous, man. All right, so now, you know, the man of sin is being revealed, man. It's mask off right now. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, I used to, you know, tell people about this, you know, like, listen, in a couple years, you're going to fully know. It's going to be fully aware of what's going on. You ain't going to have to look at me like I'm crazy for telling you this type of shit. You're going to fully be aware of what's really going on because the devil going to be rolling around mask off at this point in time, all right? It's not going to be like I have to tell you that Esau is the damn devil, and then you like, I don't know. I didn't met a lot of nice Edomites, or I got some Edomite friends that's kind of nice. Now, all right, not only are the local people here in the United States complaining about Esau being a devil, all right, you have people, Esau's an international problem. He's an international cancer, man. The rest of the nations, even his own allies, even other Edomites are complaining about this Edomite over here, man. All right, so look, it's being shown forth who the damn devil is. Like Revelation 12 and 12 say, hey, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath. He having so much great wrath right now that all the other nations like, hold up, bro. You doing way too much, man. All right, and this is what's really exposed, not really what's exposing them, but you know, the men of the Lord are really exposing them. The Spirit of the Lord is exposing them. But ultimately, you know what I'm saying? We calling him out, and now, you know, he ain't really, you know, it's hard for him to try to cover his tracks and hide himself anymore. You know, because normally what he would do is propagate certain things. You know, he would demonize the group that's demonizing him or exposing him and say that they did such and such, and then paint himself in some type of, you know, white light or whatever, whatnot, you know, or create a false flag and blame it on, you know, these people over here, whatever, whatnot. But then all of a sudden you see him on the news going out delivering food and humanitarian aid or something like that. You're like, oh, he ain't that bad. He's the only people that's over there stepping up to help out over there, you know, while y'all over here are so-called terrorists, you know. This is what he's, you know, his normal tactic is. But right now, he's just pretty much going full steam ahead, you know, mask off at it. Like, yeah, well, so what? And who gonna say something about it, you know? It says back in 1948, at the outset of the Cold War, this truth was formulated. Well, let me just read here. It says back in 1948, at the outset of the Cold War, this truth was formulated with brutal candor by the U.S. diplomat and historian George Kennan. The U.S. has 50% of the world's wealth. All right, so the majority of the world's wealth is here in America. All right, well, really, the rest of the world's wealth is over there in like England. All right, with the Rothschilds. All right, now, and basically, you put all their money together. All right, you have a small sliver percentage of, like, you know, some of these other countries like Saudi Arabia with their oil and so on and so forth. All right, these big oil-bearing nations, you know, they show up on the pie chart, but they're pretty much small in comparison to like what America has, you know what I'm saying, and Europe has. All right, because they pretty much dominate the majority, like damn near, I want to say like I don't want to say 75, but like 80% of the world's wealth. All right, between America and Europe, and you know, basically just them two, because a lot of the other Edomites like Germany and France, they don't really have all that much money comparably to America and like Great Britain, you know. But nevertheless, it says the U.S. has 50% of the world's wealth, but only 6.3% of its population. Just like, you know, there was reports of in China, all right, there was, what, 400 million people under quarantine, right? That's more than the whole population of Americans here in America. You know what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter, they can, how do you say, quarantine not their whole population, basically a small portion of their population. All right, that's like, let me see, 400 million, 500, well, maybe 500 million would be like half of their population. It is like, now it might be like 2 billion people over there, but nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? Yo, they have a huge population. So, you know, comparably to America, you know, India also has I believe it has a bigger a lot of countries have a bigger well, not really a lot, but there's a few countries that have a bigger population than America, all right? And when you really look at these numbers, like true numbers, all right, when you separate the so-called Latinos from being so-called white people, all right, and a lot of these other nations from being so-called white people, because this is how they put it down on paper, that these people are Caucasians, to raise their numbers up. You know, you had this guy who looked like a so-called black man. Really, he probably is an actual Jake, because he got the features and everything of Jake. But nevertheless, he came from over there from Egypt. All right, he moved from Egypt over to America, and on his documentation and stuff like that, he didn't put this because he the one raised the question of concern. But they put on his paperwork and his identity that he was Caucasian. All right, to boost their numbers. So when you really dig into all these things, these Edomites are really the minority on the planet Earth, man. There's a lot of their little countries over there. You know what I'm saying? These so-called big name countries that like, damn, man, hold up. The population of like New York or Texas is way bigger than their whole country's population. You know what I'm saying? They only got like 2 million people in their whole population. Like, bro, there's a lot of U.S. cities that got a bigger population in their whole country. All right, dealing with these Edomites. All right, but nevertheless, hey man, how is it that the smallest group of people on the face of the earth got all the wealth? All right, because the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna just read these last two paragraphs. It says, in this we find an explanation of what Trump means by America first or Edomites first is much clearer and more honest terms. So we should not be shocked when we read the Trump administration, which came into office pledging to end endless wars, has now embraced weapons prohibited by more than 160 countries and is readying them for future use. Cluster bombs and anti-personnel landmines, deadly explosives known to maim and kill civilians long after fighting has ended, has become integral to the Pentagon's future war plans. All right. It says those who act surprised by such news were simply hypocrites. All right. So let me read that again. Those who act surprised by such news are simply hypocrites. And that's true about, all of Jake here in America, man, because this is like a Jedi mind trick, You go up to Jake or whatever, whatnot, or you hear Jake complaining, whether it be an older Jake, man, woman, or whatever, whatnot, when you hear Jake complaining about things that happen on a job or whatever, whatnot, oh, man, the man's screwing me, oh, the system is screwing me or whatever, whatnot. They always say those things, but whenever they say the man is screwing me or whatever, whatnot, ask them what man. The man that run everything. They'll never tell you. They'll never just flat out say the so-called white man. Not even the so-called. They won't just come out and say the white man, or the system. Like, whose system? The so-called white man system, or the government. Well, whose government? Because the government ain't really nothing, but what is the government, Are you talking about the buildings, the paperwork? The paperwork in the buildings ain't really did nothing to you. Who's signing all these laws, these draconian laws into place and enforcing them? All right? It's these Edomites, all right? So if, especially with Jake, if and now these other Edomites are actually acknowledging this, but if you can't see that this is the damn devil, your ass is just a hypocrite. You just a liar, bro. You know what the hell you see. You know what's going on, but a lot of our people have either Stockholm syndrome, they love their master, or they either, because they see how Esau was dominating their ass for so long, all right, and they don't have the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua plus the protection and the hedge of them, all right, they're afraid to go up against the so-called white man, like Wisdom of Solomon 5 say, all right, 5:1, talking about then they shall stand in great boldness in the face of those that afflicted them, all right, so they don't have that so-called boldness to stand up and say something about this, all right, so it says those who act surprised by such news are simply hypocrites. In our upside down world, Trump is innocent, not impeached, while Assange is guilty for disclosing state crimes. Hey, and that's true about, in a greater overall sense. Yeah, these Edomites, these soldiers, whether you want to talk about these soldiers, but they fought and they died in the war. Yeah, they was killing everybody else, putting their ass in subjection, or these governments, the police officer, whatever, whatnot. Any of these people you want to try to compare so-called white men, they give out humanitarian aid. Look at all the inventions we brought on the planet. These diseases and shit you talking about, warfare, these weapons of mass destruction you talking about, the terrorism you talking about. You see what I'm saying? Y'all say that y'all the good guys, but then you demonize, the men of the Lord that's in this here truth that's preaching out the scriptures. All we doing is reading out the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And you demonizing us, talking about we terrorists and we hate speech and hate crime. Like, yo, no, we just reading out the scriptures and telling you the truth. All right, real hate crimes is you going on TV talking about putting sanctions on other nations. With us over here preaching, with us preaching, it is actually affecting you. But that's spiritually. The Lord is actually bringing that down on you. But it's not like we going up on a podium and say, all right, we're gonna put sanctions on a country, i.e., Cuba. Now, Cuba is landlocked and frozen in time in the 50s. All right, or we're gonna put economic sanctions on Venezuela. Now you got the people who are starving out there and they eating each other, eating their kids, eating the animals out there. That's the power that Esau has in his tongue, all right? But we just read, we just speaking, But when he speak, death and hell follows, Donald Trump gave the commandment to, basically drone strike Qasem Soleimani, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, and they talk about us, we so bad, but when you really look at it, like, yo, nah. This here whole place is upside down, man. All right, you worship and honor the wicked, all right, and you condemn and damn the righteous. You know, the men of the Lord that's standing up for righteousness, man. All right, you know, they condemn us for saying, look, your 3-year-old don't need to be having no sex change or whatever, whatnot. Stop teaching these kids that they homosexual. You can teach a kid any damn thing. That's like, when you think about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference between, when it comes to speaking languages, between a so-called Chinese person, a so-called Mexican person, and a so-called American person, right? Like, technically there's no difference between these people when it comes to speaking languages, right? It's just because of the fact of where they was brought up and the languages that they heard around them. This is the language that they speak. You see what I'm saying? So the Chinese people, because they around other people speaking Chinese, this is the only language that they hear. They pick up that language and they roll with it. Same with the Hispanic people. They whole household speaking Spanish. That's what they roll with. Now here in America, you got different dialects, different slang, different accents, and so on and so forth. Like up in New York, they talk a certain type of way. What's up, son? Or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Nah, this is mad. Yo, we mad chilling, B. You know, whatever, whatnot. But down south, they say, hey, y'all, how y'all doing? Come on in here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, whatnot, you know. But nevertheless, you know, and this is because of the way, how do I say, you were so-called brought up around you. All right. But nevertheless, you know, Salak, give me 1 second. I don't know what this is. But nevertheless, you know, this here damn devil, all right? This is, you know, how do I put it? People think that he's so-called righteous because of the fact that the so-called brainwashing that they've been putting on him, all right? But if you step away from all these things and you just look at it with a honest eye, all right, anybody could sit here and pick this here out, man. Well, I ain't gonna say anybody because the scriptures say, you know, the wicked ain't gonna understand and the rest are blinded. But nevertheless, just looking at these things, man, all right, just looking at this, just looking at, you know, comparing, judging the tree by its fruits. Like, all right, well, yeah, you are doing all this here wicked shit. Maybe you are the wicked. Maybe you are the damn devil. All right, you know what I'm saying? You just by studying it a little bit. This is how some people go and learn a whole different language they wasn't growing up around, you know. But nevertheless, that was all I wanted to grab out of this article. It's a pretty long article and it's talking about some other stuff. Nevertheless, I'm gonna just go through the scriptures real quick. You know, I didn't really have any scriptures really lined up, but because as I was reading that, you know, I was in my mind just quoting certain scriptures. So I'm gonna just go back through to some of those scriptures that I was quoting in my mind. All right, so going back, we're gonna start here in Isaiah 14 and verse 4. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased and the golden city ceased? Like I was saying, oh, matter of fact, let me start here first because I mentioned this. Habakkuk 2:2. And then Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come, it shall not tarry. All right, it will not tarry. All right, but nevertheless, you know, these prophecies are now speaking loud and clear. You know, you may not have seen it beforehand. You may not have thought it was coming or whatever, whatnot. But hey, now it's speaking loud and clear. Now it's undeniable what's really going on. All right, it's right there in your face. All right, so let's go back to Isaiah 14. It says Isaiah 14:4. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased and the golden city ceased? All right, so now, you know, it's speaking now that people are now looking at, matter of fact, I'm gonna come back to that. 2 Thessalonians 2. I'm gonna start at verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. All right, which is dealing with Israel. You know, salvation ain't coming. The day of the Lord ain't coming until what? You know, there was a falling away first. You know, we knew that we were Israelites at this point in time when this here was written. All right, but then there had to be a falling away to where we wouldn't know we were Israelites. Then we had to be brought back into the fold, Ezekiel 37. All right, before we could get salvation. All right, the point here I want to grab, it says, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And so now, before salvation can come, we had to figure out who the damn devil was. And now it's speaking loud and clear of who the devil is right now. All right. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And this is the most proudest man on the face of the earth, man. All right. These Edomites over here, man, they make everybody think, like we was reading an article, they all hypocrites. If you thought that this was actually, you know, this was all good, everything he did was all good, and so on and so forth. Nah, man. When you really look at it, when you really discern certain things that's going on, homeboy is actually the damn devil. All right. When you look at the works that he judging the tree by his fruits, man. Like I said, since he since he directed his boats to come over here, it ain't been nothing but death and destruction, man. All right. This is all he been on his modus what is it? His MO modus modus operandi or something like that. You know, this was his mission. All right. Hey, but now the son of perdition, the man of sin, is being revealed. All right. Which, going back to Isaiah 14, it says, thou shalt take up this, Isaiah 14:4, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, which is the damn devil, and he's being fully exposed. All right, and it's to the point now that, though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely speak. And right now, it's not just us telling you that this is the damn devil. Now these other countries are pointing it out. Now it's being clear and made apparent. You can just look at the damn, at the news and put two and two together. You'll see what's really going on. All right, but now, the Lord, like in Habakkuk 2 said, make it plain upon tables that they may run and read it. We make it plain and simple for you to just pick it up and read it. Just watch a video, you get the whole breakdown, and so on and so forth, man. All right. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased and the golden city ceased? So talk about how he had all these moral standards and so on and so forth, when in reality, no, you was the main oppressor of the planet Earth, man. All right. Verse 5, Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. Verse 6, going back to the characteristics of Esau, Edom, especially these Americans over here. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. All right. It says, he that ruled the nations in anger and is persecuted and none hindereth. So this is more characteristics of Esau, Edom, these Americans. The earth was given into his hands, and he's smiting the people in wrath. You just beating all the people down to smithereens with a continual stroke. All right, let me try to find a precept real quick. Jeremiah 50:23, talking about dealing with that smote the people with with continual wrath. This is Jeremiah 50:23. How was the hammer of the whole earth? All right, so you beat down and destroyed the whole damn earth. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How was Babylon, all right, become a desolation among nations? So this is, stemming from America. This is where these Edomites have done the most damage from. The hammer of the whole earth that's beating all the other nations small to powder, man. This is what these Edomites here in America have been doing, all right? Isaiah 14:6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, the hammer of the whole earth. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. So yeah, when the Lord start bringing this here judgment down on America, man, ain't none of these nations gonna really care, man. It's to try to lend a helping hand to America, man. Verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and quiet. They break forth into singing. So all these different nations are gonna rejoice when America go down. Yeah, they're gonna wail and moan for the destruction when they see it. But overall, they'll be like, shit, now we can finally rest and have peace, man. All right, not only the people, but what? The land masses, the fish, the birds, all the animals, so on and so forth, The land ain't going to be covered with all this concrete no more. And the air ain't going to be polluted no more. All right, the water ain't going to be polluted no more. The animals ain't going to be overfished, overhunted, almost extinct. You know what I'm saying? All kind of crazy things going to them, man. You ain't going to have 5G and all these different signals going throughout the air that's driving the birds and shit crazy where their GPS system don't work no more. All these things are going to be rejoicing and singing once Esau falls out of power, man. All right. Yea, the fir tree rejoice and the cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow has come up against us. All right. Hey, again, how you put it, the agriculture on the planet Earth is going to rejoice because you ain't going to have all these Monsanto seeds, them cutting down the rainforest and so on and so forth, them polluting the water streams in the air so that even the water that's raining down on these things is even polluted. Verse 9, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up their thrones and all the kings of the nations. Dealing with what? Regime change, man. Wherever America go, they always go in and take over the country, take over their nation, set up a puppet over there and call for a regime change, man. They demonize the leader like Nicolas Maduro. Oh, he's starving out his people. He's such a bad guy. And just recently at Donald Trump's State of the Union address, he acknowledged and introduced the so-called, in his eyes and, their eyes, the so-called legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. All right. When in reality, nobody over there in Venezuela even know who this motherfucker is. All right. You know what I'm saying? He just came out of nowhere. That could be Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? They didn't, I'm just speaking as a man, but hey, he got the same stature, the same little waves, same posture and everything as him. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, 9 times out of 10, you can look this up, the School of the Americas, all right, which they've changed the name now. But when you look into the School of the Americas, all right, you'll understand exactly about Juan Guaido and where they come from and so on and so forth. All right, this is basically a school that trains people to overthrow the governments and for coups and to set up for regime change, and these puppets to be standing in place for a puppet government. All right, but uh, I'm gonna come back to that. Is that it? Might have been in that same chapter. Let me look at something real quick. Oh, okay, it wasn't Isaiah 14, but here I was gonna grab what I thought this was verse 10. It says, "Be your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong." Ultimately, these other nations are now starting to stand up and call America out. Like you have America trying to come down on Rodrigo Duterte and the president of the Philippines for a human rights violation for killing off his people over there. All right, when in reality, homeboy's trying to rid that nation of drug dealers and drug users over there. So he told him at first, turn yourself in, or I'm gonna come and lock y'all up. And if y'all don't, keep on to be playing with that, I'm gonna put your ass to death. He started feeding him the gators and just giving them out to the firing squad. And it actually was successful because you had a lot of these drug users and drug dealers actually run to him and turn themselves in, and they showing up to the jailhouses and like, yo, please let me in, please let me in. All right, but here, what do you see going on? They had a so-called war on drug for the longest time. All right, but ain't none of that changed. If anything, the only thing that changed was the drugs increased, man. The users increased, and now these Edomites are on these opioids, and now they're calling it a state of emergency, or pretty much like a state of emergency, a epidemic. Something that they all got to put their hands towards because now it's falling on the Edomites. All right, but nevertheless, again, you having these other nations calling America out for their low moral standards and the things that they doing, man. All right, let's go back to Isaiah 14. Yeah, it was here. All right, I see it. All right, this is Isaiah 14 and 4. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? All right, so again, like I was talking about, I just read, let the weak say I'm strong. You having these other nations now starting to stand up and defy America right now. All right, you seen that with the the attacks that happened at the Soleimani. Iran wound up bombing U.S. bases in Iraq. And at first they reported that they had gave them the heads up. Nobody was over there. Nobody got hurt. They ain't really do shit. They was just basically bombing the desert. Now there was a report that came out late last night, and it's actually in the news now, where actually 109 U.S. soldiers were actually affected by that. But nevertheless, continuing on, verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, the noise of thy vows, and the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. So America's starting to decay right now, on all ends and all aspects. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, the son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weakest the nations? Now, this Lucifer is basically dealing with the enlightened one, all right? Who's the head of the Illuminati today, so-called white man, all right? But nevertheless, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven? Ultimately, the Lord is going to take him out of power. It says, how art thou cut down to the ground, which did weakest the nations? So going back to the hammer of the whole earth, how you going to go around talking about, you God sent, you super righteous, you the police of the world, and super humanitarian or whatever, whatnot, but yet you the hammer of the whole earth that weakened all these different nations, you the damn devil, man. This is what's going on, and now you being fully exposed, all right, and now your shame is being seen. Verse 13, for thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High, I will sit upon the mount of the congregations in the sides of the north. Verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. And who's actually doing that? That's Esau Edom. Thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. It's the point I wanted to grab here, 16 and 17. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? All right. And that's pretty much what, the beginning of that article was going into. Like, wait a minute, these people are hypocrites. They over here talking about, say, they all got moral standards or whatever, whatnot, whatever. Nah, bro, you ain't never had no moral standards. Not as long as you've been coming over here, since the beginning of the time when you came over here, before you established this as the United States, all right, you've been doing nothing but rape, robbing, and murdering, man. All right, so you've only been oppressing, man. You've only been a damn demon instead of actually being, a man of righteousness, So it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness, and destroys the cities thereof, and open not the house of his prisoners. Yeah, we still in captivity up under the so-called white man here in America, right? But nevertheless, and he's still oppressing us heavily. But nevertheless, he also made the whole world a wilderness. He's the one that's going around the world with his military bombing the shit out of people left and right, up in these different nations, throwing up regime changes, so on and so forth. This is who it is, man. Now it's out in the open, it's clear as day to see, man. All right, we're not the only ones saying this. Now it's these other Edomites on the mainstream media, news articles are coming out about this. This is who the damn devil is. All right. I had another precept I thought of. Oh, I guess I'll close out with this. Obadiah 1:6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought up? All right. So going back to 2 Thessalonians 2, the son of perdition, the man of sin, was being revealed. All right, because of the fact of let me go back, because I don't know if I read this part. 2 Thessalonians 2:8 says, then shall that wicked be revealed, all right, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right, so the Lord ain't gonna do nothing but reveal his secrets unto the servants of prophets. Who the devil was and who the wicked one was on the planet Earth has always been a mystery up until this point in time. And now the Lord sent forth his prophets to proclaim this among the Gentiles and the rest of the people. Let them know who the damn devil is, all right? Because again, he was hidden the whole time. All right, but now he's out in the open, you know what I'm saying? You can see who he is, When I say hidden, not like you ain't ever seen no so-called white man before, but he covered up a lot of his atrocities, his, all the work he's been putting in against these other nations. He hid a lot of those things, but once the internet came out, a lot of these Edomites also was writing books that was exposing their own people and so on and so forth. This is how we know about these things, all right? So, I might have just read this. Obadiah 1:6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought up? And again, it's all through the spirit of the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I'm going to close with this. Amos 3:7. Surely Yahweh power will do nothing but reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. And one of the main secrets was who the damn devil was, all right? But nevertheless, the prophecies are speaking loud and clear right now, all right? I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that taught us his truth and our well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, pushing his truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong and shalom.